देवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिन्यत नामने नमः। आचार्य पदाय निताय कृपा प्रदायने गौरकथा रामदानगर राम। Uh, Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to our regular Saturday morning Bhagavatam session. So I'm very, fortunate and indebted for having this opportunity of serving all of you with Bhagavatam today. And Bhagavatam in any stage of our life is very relevant, but especially in the current stage, the time that we are in, it is even more relevant to hear Bhagavatam, to discuss Bhagavatam, to have the opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas. Right. And then I'll just explain why. Because we are in the Chaturmas period, right? Starting the previous Ekadashi, which is the Devashayini Ekadashi, we've officially entered the Chaturmas period from 10th, I think 10th July, right? So, Chaturmas period, as we understand, is not a good time for material activities, but a very spiritually potent period of the year, right? But why is it so, right? And the reason is that in this Ekadashi, it is called Devashayani Ekadashi, where in this Ekadashi, it is not just the Lord, Supreme Lord Narayan, he goes to sleep for 4 months from Devshayani Ekadashi to Uttana Ekadashi in Kartik, right? It's not just that he goes to sleep for the 4 months, but all the Devi Devatas who are maintaining this material universe, who are empowered by the Lord to run the material affairs, they also go to sleep, right? They also go to Yoga Nidra. And how it works is our 1 year is 1 day for Devatas, right? So 6 months of our year is their day. And the second half of our year, the next 6 months is their night. And just like we don't sleep all 12 hours of our night, right? We do other things also. We get, ready to go to bed. We have dinner. We have so many other things as well that we do in the evening. Out of 12, maybe we just sleep for 8 to 10 hours, right? Similarly, the Devatas as well, they don't sleep the entire second 6 months of their night. They only sleep for 4 months out of the 6 months of their night. But when the Devatas are, it's time for them to sleep, it is mentioned in our Puranas that all of them approach the Supreme Lord, Narayan, and they ask this question to the Lord that now we are all going to sleep, right? And we are, in one sense, we are the protectors and the caretakers of this material universe, right? Actually, we know that the original protector and the only protector of everything material and spiritual is Sri Hari, Krishna, right? But the Devatas have taken that responsibility, that service from the Lord to protect this material world and all the living entities in this material world. So they go to Krishna, they go to Vishnu, and they ask him that in this period of 4 months, Chaturmas, when we are all going to sleep, who will take care of the material affairs? Who will run this material universe? Who will take care of all the righteous people? Right? Because all the yajnas and all of the offerings, it doesn't reach devatas. It's not performed as well because they're all resting, they're all sleeping. And it's like in a society, let's say tomorrow we get an announcement that the police department is going on vacation or break for 4 months, right? Then there is going to be so much lawlessness in the society, right? Crime is going to increase, righteous people will not be protected. It's very chaotic, right? So they go to the Lord with that question that if we who are entrusted with the service of protecting this material world, we all go to sleep along with you, then who will protect this universe and who will take care of all the righteous people? And to that, Vishnu, he answers by saying that yes, this is a very risky period. This Chaturmas period is very inauspicious for any material activity, and it is a very risky time of the year for people in this material world. But those who are observing Ekadashis, those who are associating with Vaishnavas, those who are hearing Harikatha, those who are chanting Harinam, for those who are constantly remembering me by engaging in my service, for such people, there is nothing to fear, because these aspects of bhakti, these angas of bhakti, will continue to protect them even when all the Devi Devatas are asleep in the Chaturmas period, right? And that is why we see that this 4 months is filled with so many festivals, right? Gopashtami, Janmashtami, Radhashtami, and so many Dashara, Deepavali, Navaratri, so many festivals, right? Why is that so? Because these festivals give us an opportunity for us to engage in service of the Lord, to hear more about the Lord. Janmashtami, how did the Lord appear in Mathura? How did he go to Vrindavan? Right? Radhashtami, the glories of Srimati Radharani. So all of these festivities, they give us an opportunity to come together in Vaishnava Sangha, to associate with devotees, to serve the Lord, to hear about him, to chant his holy name, right? To go to dhams. So this is a wonderful, that is why so many festivals are there, because that is the only source of protection during this period for all of us, right? This is true for rest of the year as well, but this 4 months, it is especially relevant. And that is why in the Chaturmas period, discussing Bhagavatam like we are doing right now is very, very potent. And it's not just a luxury, but it's a necessity for us to do these spiritual activities to seek protection of the Lord, right? So, with this context and background, we'll jump into our discussion for today. So, we'll be discussing from the third canto, 28th chapter today. But before getting to that, we'll just have a brief recap of where we stand. We saw that, Mother Devahuti and Kardama Muni, they enter into Grahastha life. And after having children, especially after having a son, Kapila Dev, then Kardama Muni, he, as per the contract that was decided before he got into Grahasthashram, Kardama Muni, he leaves home and he goes into the forest to practice renunciation, and he takes sannyas and completely absorbs himself in the meditation of the Lord, right? And he performs austerities, he performs bhakti in the forest. Now, when that happens, the moment Kardama Muni leaves, Mother Devahuti, she goes to Kapila Dev, and she actually remembers that when her son Kapiladev had appeared in this world, Brahma had told her that there will come a time when you will get enlightened by your son. You will get teachings from your son, and those teachings will enlighten the rest of the generations to come. Right. So, Mother Devahuti remembers that, and she goes to Kapiladev, and she asks a few questions to Kapiladev. And this section, from the 25th chapter till the 32nd chapter, this is the teachings of Lord Kapila to Mother Devahuti. Right? We are going to be discussing the 28th chapter today. But broadly, those Mother Devahuti asks 7 questions to Kapila Dev. And those 7 questions are answered by the Lord in 8 chapters, spanning from 25 to 32. And in the 33rd chapter, Mother Devahuti offers her prayers and gratitude to her son, Lord Kapiladev, right? So, at a very high level, we'll just discuss what these 7 questions are and what the answer of Kapiladev was. And then we'll jump into our discussion today, which is the 28th chapter. Okay. So, the 7 questions of Mother Devahuti are, the first question is, Mother Devahuti says that in this material world, all the conditioned souls, they are bound by ignorance, right? Maya Devi is doing her service wonderfully, where she is keeping all the jivas under ignorance to believe that they are this body, they are these temporary tags, right? And in this ignorance, we bound to get illusioned, right? So Mother Devoti asks Kapila Dev, how can a conditioned soul come out of this illusion? Right? How can they defeat Maya and come out of illusion? To that, as an answer to that, Kapila Dev says, the only solution to come out of illusion is Adhyatmika Yoga. And this Adhyatmika Yoga, it contains 3 components. First is Sankhya. And Sankhya is basically Jnana Yoga, right? So Sankhya means differentiation between spirit and matter. And Sankhya has 3 components, right? One is Jnana, Sankhya is Jnana, but it has 3 elements to it, which is Jiva, Purusha, and Prakriti. Right. So the interaction between Jiva, which is conditioned soul in this material world, Purusha, which is the super soul or Krishna, Supreme Lord, and then you have Prakriti, which is the material nature. How do these 3 elements interact? Right? So the Jiva desires, Purusha sanctions the desire and Prakriti facilitates the desire. Right? This is how these three work, and this is very nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita as well by Krishna. But here as well, Kapila Dev, he explains these three concepts. So that's the first anga of Adhyatmika Yoga, first component, which is Sankhya. The second component is Yoga. And by yoga, Kapila Dev, he specifically is referring to Ashtanga Yoga, which we'll discuss in detail today. And the third component of Adhyatmika Yoga is Bhakti, devotional service. So he explains these three things. And then he says that Bhakti is the supreme. He establishes supremacy of Bhakti. So the next question of Mother Devahuti is, okay, if Adhyatmika Yoga has three components, and out of all three, Bhakti is the supreme, then what kind of Bhakti should I perform to please you? Right? To please the Supreme Lord. What is that bhakti? To that, Kapila Dev, he responds by saying, bhakti should be beyond the influence of the modes of material nature, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And ideally, bhakti should be spontaneous love for the Lord, which is called bhava bhakti. But in this material world, it's very, very rare for a living entity to have bhava bhakti, right? Now, it doesn't mean because bhava bhakti is good, people who don't have spontaneous love, they also imitate or fake having love for the Lord. For all such living entities, there is another option, which is Vaiti Sadhana Bhakti, right? Which means regulated practice of devotional service. We understand we don't have love, but through discipline and through regular practice, we get to that stage where we purify ourselves, right? So Kapila Devi says, this is the devotion that pleases me. And the third and the fourth question of Mother Devahuti is, although you said Bhakti is supreme and you explained what sort of Bhakti pleases you, can you tell me a little more about Jnana and Yoga, which is Sankhya and Ashtanga? Can you please elaborate a little more? Now, why is she asking this? Mother Devahuti is not asking this with an intent of practicing these paths. She's fully convinced that Bhakti is supreme, and she's seen her husband and so many. She herself is very self-realized, right? She Swayambhu Manu, when he comes to offer her his daughter's hand, Devahuti's hand to Kardama Muni, he glorifies his daughter. Brahma glorifies Mother Devahuti, and Kardama Muni himself glorifies Mother Devahuti. So she's very, intelligent. So she is not asking about Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga to practice them, but to compare them against Bhakti Yoga and make the Lord establish the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga even more. Right. And today as well, we'll see how Ashtanga Yoga can lead to Bhakti Yoga, right? We see that in the Bhagavad Gita where we talk about the yoga ladder, how karma leads to bhakti, jnana leads to bhakti, ashtanga leads to bhakti, and dhyana leads to bhakti, right? Where bhakti is the elevator and all of these are like the ladders of yoga. Right? But here as well, we will understand that by the third and fourth questions of Mother Devahuti. And then the fifth question of Mother Devahuti is, can you elaborate on the path of bhakti in more detail? And in response to that, Kapila Dev, he talks about the various classes of bhakti, the characteristics of bhakti, the various aparadas, and the dangers of various offenses, and all of those components is covered by the Lord there. And the sixth question, Mother Devahuti, is she asks Kapila Dev, can you elaborate on the nature of time in this material world? And Kapila Dev, he explains the influence and the power of time in this material world, right? And finally, the seventh question that Devahuti, she asks us about the continuous cycle of birth and death for conditioned souls in this material world. And in response to that, Kapila Dev, he talks about the painful miseries that a jiva has to undergo at every stage of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. At birth, death, old age, disease, all the painful experiences that we have to undergo, not just once, repeatedly in a cyclic manner. So that is explained by Kapila Dev. Especially the highlight of this section is where Kapila Dev talks about how a soul is suffering in a mother's womb at the moment of birth. We think it is very easy for us to understand that old age, disease, and death is very painful. But we think, how can birth be painful? Because it is celebrated. And not just celebrated once, every day of the year, the same day of the year, throughout our life, we celebrate Janma, right? Then how can Janma be bad? But through Bhagavatam, we realize that, it's a very painful, miserable situation. And the Jivatma actually offers prayers to the Lord to get out of this miserable condition. And then again, we go into ignorance. So all of that is explained by Kapila Dev in this section. Right? So these are the 7 questions which are answered across 8 chapters from third canto 25th chapter to third canto 32nd chapter by Kapila Dev. In the 27th chapter last week, we saw about the third question which was addressed by the Lord, which is on Jnana or Sankhya, right? So there Kapiladev speaks about the Jiva, Purusha, and Prakriti, and he puts a lot of focus on the conditioned soul and the fact that even though the conditioned soul is inside this material world, it still doesn't lose the spiritual qualities, right? We haven't lost our spiritual nature, spiritual identity. It is just covered by the material illusion, and we need to uncover the spiritual nature, right? And the analogy or the example given is that if a paper falls in a gutter, in a sewage, or some food item or something falls in the sewage, that item loses its value. Paper that has fallen into a gutter is no longer usable. We don't put our hand and pick it up again, right? But let's say a gold ring falls into the gutter, then we scramble, we whatever gutter or whatever it is, we put our hand and we take it up because the value of the gold does not go off. The value of gold is still there. We just need to pick it up and clean the external dirt, and the gold is still there. It's still all its characteristics are still there. It's still valuable. Similarly, the soul is Sat Chit Ananda by nature, right? But when it comes into this material world, it is covered by all the anarthas. But just because it is covered by anarthas doesn't mean the original qualities of Sat Chit Ananda is gone. That is always there. That is why we have to put endeavor, we have to put effort through the process of yoga to uncover these dirt, right? And that is what was explained in the 27th chapter by Kapila Dev. And now we are entering into the 28th chapter. Interestingly, this 28th chapter is about Ashtanga Yoga, completely from first shloka till the 43rd shloka, 44th shloka. It only Kapil Dev only talks about Ashtanga Yoga, and he elaborates on that path. But the title of this chapter is, Prabhupada titles it as Execution of Devotional Service. Right? So it's very interesting how a Vaishnava devotee has that vision of connecting everything towards bhakti, connecting everything towards the Lord, not to manipulate the instructions of the Lord, but more out of compassion that whoever reads whatever section, they get the essence of the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, right? This is Prabhupada's compassion. And it is not that in this section, it is only relevant for Ashtanga yogis and people who are inclined towards Bhakti Yoga. This chapter is irrelevant to them. That is not at all the case, right? We will discuss right now as well. So why this chapter is relevant for all of us is Kapila Dev, the first shloka of this chapter, he says to Mother Devahuti, I will elaborate on Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga Yoga. Right? So it's not just Ashtanga Yoga. In the second canto as well, we discuss about Ashtanga Yoga, where the absorption or the meditation is on the universal form of the Lord or the Paramatma feature of the Lord. Right? Basically, the impersonal aspects of the Lord. But here, this is very different Ashtanga Yoga. Here, Kapila Dev is giving that heads up that this Ashtanga Yoga is going to be Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga Yoga, which means it is going to be mixed with Bhakti. And if done properly, this kind of Ashtanga Yoga actually leads to Bhakti. And we'll discuss about the example of a few devotees who actually follow this yoga and go into Bhakti as well. Few Mahajanas and Mahabhagavatas. Right? Just a quick check. I'm getting a notification that the internet is unstable. Can somebody please confirm, unmute and confirm if you're able to hear me fine?
Yes,
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 we're
yes.
able to hear you.
Yes, we're able to hear you.
Okay, perfect. Great. So this 28th chapter, right? It's divided into these 3 or 4 sections. So the first shloka to the 12th shloka talks about the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. Then 13th to 18th, from 13th shloka till 38th shloka, it only talks about the sixth and the seventh limb, right? Dharana and dhyana aspect of Ashtanga Yoga. 13 to 18 is about dharana, which is about meditating on Lord's form as a whole, overall. And 19 to 33 is about dhyana, where we meditate on every limb of the Lord. That is more intensified and focused meditation. And then from 39 to 44, 34 to 38, we talk about the liberation of the yogis. And 39 to 44, we discuss the thought process of a yogi, right? Kapil Dev, he explains on these topics. So, as we discussed first, he sets off by saying this is Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga Yoga. Then in the first 12 shlokas, he elaborates on Anga means limbs. And yoga, as we know, means to connect with the Lord. It comes from the root word yuj. And that is why yukta also comes from yuj. In Bhagavad Gita, third chapter, we hear this term, yukta vairagya, right? So yukta vairagya means renunciation. And yukta vairagya means renunciation in connection with the Lord, right? In association with the Lord. So that is how yukta, yoga, all of these means to connect. And Ashtanga Yoga means to establish a connection with the Supreme Lord through 8 limbs of yoga, right? And now we'll see what are these 8 limbs. First two are Yama and Niyama. Yama means do's and Niyama means don'ts. So there are a lot of do's and don'ts that a sadhaka needs to practice, which are favorable for a spiritual practice, favorable for a sadhana, right? The food that we eat, the lifestyle that we, subscribe to, the music that we hear, the association that we take. There are do's and don'ts in every aspect. Of course, for devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu establishes the greatest do, the king of all the do's and the king of all the don'ts is Smartavyam Satatam Vishnur Vismartavyam Na Jatavrit. The greatest of all the do's is always remember Krishna, and the greatest of all the don'ts is never forget Krishna. That is for Bhakti yogis. But for Ashtanga yogis, there is a long list of do's and don'ts that they need to follow. Those are the first two angas. The third anga is asana. Asana, as we all can relate to, right? It refers to the sitting postures, various sitting postures that the yogis practice. And this is done to attain steadiness in one's sadhana, in one's spiritual practice. Asana, to attain steadiness and consistency, asana is very important. And the fourth anga is pranayama. Pranayama is, again, as very famously known, it is controlling the breath, how we inhale, how we exhale, and holding the breath, and all of these things, focusing on the breath. This is pranayama. And now, why is pranayama important? What is the effect of practicing pranayama? It destroys the doshas within the body. The imbalance between kapha, vata, pitta, all of those physical phenomena, they are addressed by the practice of fourth anga, which is pranayama. Then we have pratyahara. Pratyahara means withdrawing the sense from the sense objects. Now, from the fifth stage, it stops being physical and it goes to subtle layer, right? It's no longer about the body. Pratyahara, generally, when people in this material world, usually in the modern times, when they talk about yoga, they only stop till the fourth anga, pranayama, right? Because it yoga they feel is only for the body, but actually that is incomplete. That is only one half. Then we have the remaining four aspects as well. The fifth one is pratyahara, where the yogi withdraws their senses from the sense objects. And this helps them in having stability of mind, control over mind, where they don't allow the mind to get distracted into sense objects while they are practicing their sadhana, right? So that is where pratyahara is important. At a subtle level, it operates. Then sixth and seventh, we have dharana and dhyana. As we discussed, dharana is both of them, dharana and dhyana, are meditation on the Lord, but dharana is overall meditation on the beautiful form, and dhyana is intensified meditation on every limb. And finally, after this meditation comes the eighth stage of Ashtanga Yoga, which is samadhi, where being so absorbed in the form of the Lord, a yogi goes into trance while meditating on the Lord and completely absorbs himself in that ecstasy of being connected with the Lord, establishing that connection with the Lord. So these are the 8 stages of yoga. And as we discussed, it starts with the gross level where it is about yama, niyama, right? Pranayama. So it's all about the external body at a gross level. Then it starts moving towards subtle, where it's about pratyahara, like controlling the mind, controlling the senses, dhyana, dharana, all of that, engaging the mind in Lord's form, right? And then finally it goes to the spiritual component. Dharana, dhyana, and samadhi are all spiritual aspects. So all of these together, the journey from the gross to the subtle to finally the spiritual, is this full cycle is what completes yoga. And how this Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga Yoga is different from the regular Ashtanga Yoga is that the dharana and the dhyana stage in this section that Kapiladev talks about, here the meditation is on the form of the Lord, but generally in Ashtanga Yogis, this dharana and dhyana is about either the universal form or the Paramatma, impersonal aspect of the Lord, right? That's how this section is different, and it's very relevant and beneficial for all of us as well, who are aspiring sadhakas in Bhakti Yoga. Uh, and one other reason why Ashtanga Yoga is also called Dhyana Yoga in Bhagavad Gita, the sixth chapter, it's titled as Dhyana Yoga. And that is because in all these eight angas, the most important anga is dhyana, intensified absorption in the form of the Lord. And that is why even this chapter is structured in a way that all these eight angas are elaborated, are discussed in 12 shlokas, but almost 20 to 30 shlokas are only meant on absorbing our mind in the beautiful form of the Lord. And today we are going to learn about the science of having darshan. What is the art of seeing the Lord? How should we see the Lord? Right? And what is the right mood? What is the right way? What is the right method to do that? Right? Through the teachings of Kapila Dev. Before we go into the exact details of dharana and dhyana, right? How to absorb our mind in the Lord, we'll just discuss a little bit about this whole idea of how the pure devotees are extremely attracted to the beautiful form of the Lord, right? Not just the Ashtanga yogis, but the bhaktas. This is one of their primary attractions, and it's almost like an addiction that devotees are not able to come out of. That once they get attracted to the form of the Lord, that's it, right? In Vrindavan, there was a devotee from the Kumara Sampradaya, right? He chanted and heard about the Lord throughout his life, but he was blind from the beginning. Uh, from his birth, he was blind, but he kept hearing and he developed love for Krishna. And he always used to cry to the Lord, saying, "When can I see you? Please give me the opportunity to have your darshan. I hear about your beauty so much, but I'm not able to see you. So please give me your darshan." He keeps crying. So the Lord becomes pleased with him and he actually gives him his darshan. And this devotee gets the vision to see the beautiful form of the Lord. And upon seeing the form of the Lord, this devotee starts crying and he expresses gratitude to the Lord for giving darshan, right? For giving this mercy. And then the Lord also becomes very happy and he asks this devotee, "Do you have any other blessings, any other boon that you want?" And the devotee says, "The same hands with which you blessed me to have this vision by which I could have your darshan, I request you, the only blessing I need is with those same hands, you take back this vision." The Lord becomes surprised. Hey, but you never had vision throughout your life from birth. You always wanted it. First time I'm giving you vision. Now you can see this whole world. You can enjoy your vision. Why are you asking me to take it back? Take this blessing back. And the devotee, he says that I whatever is meant to be seen with this vision, I've already seen that. Now there is nothing more to be seen or nothing else to be done with this vision. Now I'll spend the rest of my life meditating on what I've seen and I don't need the vision anymore. It is only a distraction for me. So please take it away. Right. Now, this theme is very, very prominent across devotees of all sampradayas. We see in the Shri Sampradaya as well. Kuresh, when Ramanujacharya, he becomes very uh, distressed and sad that his disciple Kuresh lost his eyes trying to protect his guru Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya tells Kuresh, "You go to the Lord, go to Ranganatha Swami, and you ask him to give you back his vision." And Kuresh keeps coming up with one excuse after the other, one excuse after the other. He goes to the Lord, but he never asks about his vision. Finally, Ramanujacharya becomes very angry. He takes Kuresh and he asks him, he tells him, "You ask the Lord for the vision." Quresh prays to the Lord and he says, "Yes, I've asked him and he has given me vision." Ramacharya looks at Quresh and he says, "But you still look blind. Your eyes are still not there. What vision do you have? Why are you lying? What can you see?" He says, "I can see the beautiful form of the Lord. I can't see anything else, but I have requested for vision to only see Ranganatha Swami and I can see him very nicely." Ramacharya gets surprised. He asks Quresh, "Tell me, what alankar is there? What is the Lord doing? What position, posture is in?" All of that he asks about the deities. And Quresh is able to explain that to the minutest, most granular details. Right? Even people who have eyes cannot see those granular details. Quresh was able to share all of that. Right? And similarly, if you see Surdas and so many example of devotees who uh, who have shown to the whole world that the real purpose of having eyes, having vision, is to be relish the beauty of the wonderful form of the Lord. Right? And devotees are so attracted to this form, nothing else means to them. We see in the Purushottam Kshetra Mahatmaya, in the pastime of the appearance of Lord Jagannath, Lakshmi Devi tells Brahma and Yamaraj about the glories of Purushottam Kshetra, and there she talks about Markandeya Rishi. When Markandeya Rishi got this actually curse in the form of a blessing that he will have a long life, which will span across multiple kalpas. The problem there was during the day of Brahma, everything was fine. But during the night, when it is Pralaya, it was horrible. And these pralaya waves are not like the tender waves of, a swimming pool, or in Mandarla we have this wave ride, wave pool and all of that, right? This was not like that. This was bone crushing, huge pralaya waves. It was very, very painful, and no, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, exhaustion and loneliness, all of that, right? It was very, very dark, very unbearable for Markandeya Rishi for all of that time. And in that time, from the corner of his eyes, he sees a piece of land on which there was a banyan tree, and something blue, shiny blue, from that banyan tree struck the corner of his eyes. And Markandeya Rishi sees it is the beautiful form of the Lord, where Krishna is sitting on a vata leaf, on a banyan leaf, and he's chewing on his toe. Right, he's trying to taste his toe. Acharya say Krishna is trying to see devotees keep glorifying my lotus feet, and they say my lotus feet is so tasty and all of that. Let me see why are they so much behind these lotus feet? What is this taste, right? But that beautiful baby form, when Markandeya Rishi sees, he offers these Bala Mukunda Stotram, these prayers to Krishna. But in that prayer, if you see, he says, Karara Vindena Padara Vindam, Mukara Vindena Viniveshayantam, Vatasya Patrasya Kuteshayanam, Balam Mukundam Manasasmarami. First, he describes what he's seeing. He's seeing that Krishna, kara means hands, but his hands, he's holding his toe and he's putting it inside his mouth and he's chewing on it, right? But then what? After describing what he's seeing, what does Markandeya Rishi pray for? Balam Mukundam Manasas Smarami. My only desire, my only blessing that I need is, may this beautiful form of Bala Mukunda always reside in my heart. Right? If we were Markandeya Rishi, first thing we would say is, whatever complexion, whatever the Lord is doing, Krishna, please protect us from these waves. Please help me get out. Please give me some food. Please give me some protection. But nothing. Markandeya Rishi is saying he's not even feeling the waves anymore. He's not feeling any material misery seeing that beautiful form of the Lord. And the only thing he's asking is, may this form always remain. Even if the sufferings are there, that is okay. But may your form always remain in front of me. Similar to what Kunti Marani had prayed as well, right? So this aspect of darshan, or this aspect of having access to the beauty of the Lord's form, this is very, very relishable and nectarian for the pure devotees of the Lord. Now, for us, how can we get to that stage, right? Because, like we discussed earlier as well, if we don't have bhava bhakti, if we don't have spontaneous love for Krishna, we don't have to imitate it. Right? We can reach there through the other process of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Right? So, darshan has two components. One is drishtya, the other is drashtya. So, His Holiness Chandramouli Swami Maharaj, he explains that Drashtya means to see, and drashtya means to be seen. So when we are having darshan, in our consciousness, it is very important to have clarity of who is the seer and who's being seen. Right? So we have to have clarity that when we stand in front of the Lord, we are not the seer. Krishna is the seer, and we are the object of Krishna's mercy through his merciful glance. Right? And that is real darshan. Darshan means Krishna should see us, not just us seeing the Lord. Once His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he actually goes in front of the deities to have darshan of the Lord, but then he realizes he forgot his glasses, right? And then he's looking for the glasses, but it's not there. So his personal servant, he tells Maharaj, let me go to your room and I'll get your glasses so that you can have darshan properly. You can have darshan nicely. And there, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, no, no, let it be. Right? What will I see with my eyes? Even if I have the specs, what will I see? Darshan is not about me seeing Krishna. Darshan is about letting Krishna see me. Right? So let Krishna see me. I'll stand in front of the Lord. Even if I can't see nicely, it's okay. Krishna should see me well. Right? Again, this is not for us to imitate or forget our specs when we go to have darshan of the Lord, but this is for us to further accept and understand this fact that darshan really means for the Lord to see us. And if you are just going from one temple to the other, seeing the Lord, again, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he calls this as eye exercise, right? We are just straining the eyes and straining the body and seeing the different forms of the Lord. right? And we are getting some external relishment from it, but actually there is no transformation, no purification that happens from that sort of a darshan. So one aspect of darshan is in terms of having clarity on who's the seer and who's the seen. But the other aspect of darshan is to have the right consciousness, to have the right mood, to understand that we can see the Lord in this material body. While staying in this material body, we can see the Lord not through our eyes, but through our ears. First, we see him through our ears, and only then we develop the vision to see him through our eyes, right? And that is where our Shastra, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, becomes very, very important. More than any other Shastras, hearing Bhagavatam and reading, discussing Bhagavatam is extremely important. Anga, as a precursor, as a prerequisite, as a qualification for us to be eligible to have darshan of the Lord, right? Because there are the Vedas. There are different classes of Shastras, right? You have the Vedas, but all these Vedas, where you have the Upanishads, they teach us spiritual principles, but that teaching is like a teacher teaching to a student, where it is very, very strict. Teacher sits on an elevated throne, the students sit below, and the teacher holds a stick and he's chastising, beating them, and he's telling, like Prabhupada lovingly says, rascal, you rascal, right? So, like that, they're chastising and they're teaching Upanishads, Vedas, they are teaching us spiritual principles. That is one section of Shastras. The other section of Shastras is the Puranas. Now, Puranas is more like our friend. Like one friend teaches the other friend, where they put their hand on the shoulder and they share very light stories and light, topics. But in those light stories, very deep spiritual principles are hidden, right? That is what Puranas teach us. And then you have these prayers in the form of kavya, stuti. That is like one lover teaching another lover. The lovers, they don't speak a lot of words. With very few words, they charm the other person, right? That's how these kavya and this stuti aspect of the shastras are. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, which category does it fall under? The Vedas, teaching like a teacher, or teaching like a friend, or teaching like a lover, right? Srimad Bhagavatam fulfills all three categories, right? It has everything. Like the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Sukadeva Goswami talks about the 26 hellish types of hellish planets and all of that. If you do this, you will go here. If you do this, you'll go there. That is like the Vedas, like a teacher teaching a student, very, very strict, right? Don't do this mistake. Then you have so many pastimes, right? It is a Purana by nature, Bhagavat Mahapuran, right? So it is filled with so many stories, so many pastimes where it's almost like a friend telling us that, hey, this person did this mistake and suffered this, so please, you also be careful. In a very light, informal, and pleasant way, right? And Bhagavatam also teaches us like a lover, right? We have so many stutis, Bhishma Stuti, Kunti Stuti, right? Arjuna offers prayers. So many devotees offer their prayers throughout Bhagavatam. Venu Geet, Gopi Geet. Through these sweet, melodious songs, we get charmed and we get attracted towards Krishna. So that is how Bhagavatam teaches us everything. But here is the important point. The goal of Srimad reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or any scripture for that matter is not to gain knowledge, right? It is not that we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, we perfect our lives, go back to Golok Vrindavan, and we share this knowledge with Krishna. Krishna is not interested in hearing the same knowledge that he has given to all of us, right? We take one verse from his teachings and give it back to him. He's not going to be impressed. So when we go back to Golok Vrindavan, Krishna will not be eager to hear what we have learned, what knowledge we have. What he wants from us is a pure heart, right? So that is why Prabhupada always used to say that the goal of Bhagavad Gita or the goal of Srimad Bhagavatam is not to know Krishna, but it is to love Krishna, right? And if you're able to reach that stage, and that is the real goal, right? And Krishna as well in the Bhagavad Gita he mentions that the real knowledge, bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeve sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. So bahunam janmanam ante, after many, many, many lifetimes, these mahatmas, they become knowledgeable, jnanavan mam, right? They become knowledgeable, jnanavan. But then what is the symptom of knowledge? Mam prapadyate, means they surrender unto me. Unless we lovingly surrender to Krishna, what is the use of that knowledge, right? And Vasudeve Sarvamiti, they surrender lovingly to me, knowing that I am, the cause of everything, and such Mahatmas are very rare. Right? So the symptom of knowledge or the main reason why we gain knowledge is not like jnanis, but as a bhakta, we gain knowledge to develop love for Lord. Because without knowledge, bhakti can be very, very sentimental. Right? In Mumbai, there was a serial killer. I think Raman Raghav was his name, but he used to kill people continuously, like a psycho. And when asked, why are you killing? He would say, Krishna is revealing to me whom to kill, which person to kill, and Krishna is instructing me to kill, so I'm killing. Right. So we have so many weird cases, and to know if we, even if not at that extreme, even in our day-to-day bhakti practice, right, sadhana, we tend to lean a little bit towards sentimental or irrational side, and that is where knowledge is very important. Shastras are very important, right? But these Mahatmas, they gain knowledge with the understanding that when we look at our reflection in the mirror, right, and when we are seeing that reflection, we don't decorate the mirror, we decorate our face. And when we decorate our face, the mirror is automatically decorated. The reflection in the mirror automatically gets decorated. We don't have to separately decorate the reflection in the mirror. Similarly, the purpose of existence in this material world is to serve Krishna and to please him. And by pleasing the original, the spiritual nature, pleasing our soul and pleasing the super soul, Sri Hari, then the reflection of that soul, which is this material body and this material world, that reflection is automatically sorted. We don't have to change anything, right? But unfortunately, we spend all our efforts in changing the reflection, but in forgetting to change the actual or to serve the real nature, which is the spiritual nature of ourselves, right? So, uh, in the interest of time, we'll just quickly come to this next section, which is dharana and dhyana. But what we discussed so far is that devotees are extremely addicted to the personal form of the Lord, to the beautiful form of the Lord, so much that they don't care for any other suffering. They just want that. And for sadhakas, how can we develop that sort of a mood is that we first understand that we are not the seer, Krishna is the seer. We are there for the Lord to be seen, and that is the real auspiciousness. And then the second aspect is we develop our consciousness and the vision to see the Lord by gaining knowledge from the Shastras. And the third and the most important aspect for us to be eligible to see the Lord, right? All those devotees, if we see, who got the darshan of the Lord, what did they do differently? Right? It is the aspect of seva, service, service to Guru, Krishna, and all the Vaishnavas. Right? Anybody who has darshan of the Lord. For example, in the Ramayana, we see Mother Shabari. She had darshan of the Lord, right? She got the benediction. How? Right? So when Lord Ram walks into Pampa Sarovar and he meets Mother Shabari, the first thing Mother Shabari says is, the words that come from the mouth of a pure devotee always they manifest. They're always true. Right? And then Lord Ram is surprised. So the first thing she remembers when she looks at the Lord is she remembers her Guru, Matanga Rishi, who told her that, you stay back in this ashram, the Lord will come. He didn't give time, he didn't give date, he didn't give how many people will come, he didn't say from which direction he will come, he didn't say on which time of the day Lord will come, he didn't say anything. He just said, just stay back, the Lord will come. And with patience and enthusiasm, Shabari Mata kept waiting for years together. For 13 years, she waited, right? And when actually Lord Ram came, she invites Lord Ram to sit. She offers the grass mat. She offers the Lord berries and fruits, right? And it's not that she tasted every berry and gave it. That's not there in the Valmiki Ramayana because Shabari Mata she's known for her Archa Vigraha Seva, right? So she knows the principles, right? And to know the quality of the fruits, we don't have to eat all the fruits. Even if we eat one or two berries, we'll know what is the general quality of fruits in this tree. Right? And she comes from the tribal Shabara background, so she knew that. She didn't have to taste every berry, right? But she offers those to the Lord, and Lakshman sees so many things that shocks him. Lakshman is sitting next to the Lord. He also has a plate of berries on his in front of him, but he's not focusing on the fruits. He's seeing around. He's seeing the whole ashram is spick and span, not even a leaf, nothing. It's very, very clean. It's as if she was expecting them to come. But Lakshman is thinking, we did not, give any notice. Right? We came as the true definition of Atiti. Titi means date, and Atiti means those relatives or those people who come to our house without any notice, without giving intimation of which date they will come in. And our Vedic standard is even such people who come without notice, they should be treated like God, right? For us, even if they tell beforehand, it's a big, distress. But yeah, Lakshman is wondering who told her there are fresh garlands here, right? It's not some years ago. It's very, very fresh. Today morning it was plucked. And then he's looking at these fruits. They are the top quality fruits. And Lakshman knows getting top quality fruits is very rare because he's been doing that for 13 years. So he's looking at all of this. And then he looks at Lord Ram and he gets the shock of his life. Lord Ram is eating with so much absorption. He's almost like meditating, closing his eyes, tasting everybody. And he's eating with so much hunger. It is the only time in the 14 years where Lord Ram shows the quality of hunger. Right? And Lakshman is thinking, if somebody sees this, they will feel I have not fed anything to Lord Ram. How come he's eating like this? Right? And then Lord Ram, after all this eating is finished, he talks to Mother Shabri. And she again continues talking about Matangarishi and all of that, that he told me that you will come, right? He talks, and Lord Ram says, this personality seems interesting. Why don't you tell me more about him? And Shabri Mata, she again goes on elaborating with a lot of enthusiasm about her guru. And, and she tells that we get the mercy of the Lord through the Guru, and through the mercy of the Lord, we get connected through the Guru again, right? And at the end of all of this interaction, she tells Lord Ram that Lord Ram says, I'm coming here to find Mother Sita. And she says, if you have to find Mother Sita, go to Rishyamukh Parvat and find Sugriv. He will tell you, he will guide you towards Mother Sita, right? Now, again, here, Valmiki Muni says, Shabari Mata has never seen Sita Mata in her life. Ram has seen, Lakshman has seen. Shabari Mata has never seen. But still, she's capable of giving directions to Lord Ram on how to find Mother Sita. And the interesting fact is, Lord Ram actually follows that instruction. He takes it seriously and he follows it. Right? And Sita Mata represents Bhakti. And Bhakti reveals to those people who render service to Guru, Krishna, and all the Vaishnavas. Right? When they sincerely render service to Vaishnavas and Guru, Bhakti Devi reveals herself. And that's how Shabari Mata was able to tell. And then Lord Ram asks, tell me, what benediction do you want? And Shabari says, she doesn't say, oh, I want you or I want your service. She says, I only stayed here all this while away from my guru to follow his instruction that when you come, I should serve you. Now I've fulfilled that instruction. Please allow me to go back to my spiritual master in his service. And the Lord Ram becomes very happy and he blesses her and she invokes the yogic fire and she goes back to the spiritual world along with her guru Matanga Rishi and all his disciples, right? So this is the qualification of seva. This is the qualification to have darshan of the Lord, that we should have done lots of seva. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada, he got the instruction in 1922 from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that you seem knowledgeable, you seem educated, go to the West and preach. Imagine Prabhupada just came, he offered his obeisances. Before he's even getting up, he gets this instruction from his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that go to the West and preach. No, hi, how are you? What is your name? How are you doing? Nothing. Just this thunderbolt of an instruction. And Prabhupada meditated on that instruction and put all his efforts into that instruction enthusiastically, despite all the failures, not for 1 day, 2 day, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, for 43 years of his life, despite utter failure of not even getting one or two people, Prabhupada still continued. And after 43 years of this instruction, finally it manifested in 1965 in the form of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So how did Prabhupada get so much success and so much mercy of the Lord and so much mercy to purify other people and impact so many other living entities in this world? Because he served Guru and Krishna with so much faith, right? And there's this one last example of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. There are many disciples of Srila Prabhupada, but there's this one disciple of Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Through his example also we can see how to actually get the mercy of the Lord in the form of deity or in the form of darshan, right? Radhanath Maharaj, he came by mistake, by chance to Vrindavan. We can read this in his autobiography, his book called Journey Home. He came by mistake. He just got down in Vrindavan without realizing. He had darshan. He stayed there for 2 months. He met Srila Prabhupada. He met the devotees there, and he got to know. He got connected with Krishna consciousness. Then later he went to Mumbai and met Srila Prabhupada and all of that. But from that time onwards, Radhanath Maharaj had the desire to participate in the Rath Yatra of the Lord. But his visa expired and he was asked to go back to US. Then once he went back to US, he was given different services and responsibilities. And he was asked to take care of the New Vrindavan project in West Virginia, which is like a eco farm. Now that project is there. It is very, very, very austere in the initial days. No facilities, nothing, and the summers are very intense. The winters go into minus temperatures. It is mentioned Radhanath Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj also stayed there during the last stages of his life in this world. But he also explains how the devotees were facing extreme austerities. They were performing austerities in the beginning of that project for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. But Radhanath Maharaj used to go to the top of the hill where the deities were there and used to stay there and perform Arati and Abhishek and 6 times offering bogas to the Lord. And thrice a day he had to take bath. And winter there was no water, it was ice. So he would break the ice, hitting it to a stone. He would take the ice and rub the ice on his body to take bath in that negative temperature. So that extreme austerities he did. But every year he would go to his authorities and say, please send me to India to Jagannath Puri to have darshan of Lord Jagannath. Right? Maharaj is not an Indian by body, right? So he's not allowed to enter the temple. It is only during Rath Yatra time that he can have darshan. So he used to tell his authorities, please allow me to go to Rath Yatra. And they would say, if you go, who will take care of the deities? Who will take care of the service? Stay back. Right? This happened for 10, 12 years. Then Maharaj came back to India, started the Chaupati congregation, and he had so many responsibilities, so many commitments. He was never able to go. For 26 years, Maharaj never attended Rath Yatra, right? But finally, after 26 years, when he got the chance to have darshan of the Lord on Ratha, right? He's had darshan of Jagannath. He was very happy. And in Rath Yatra, there is this ritual that if Jagannath reaches Gundicha before sunset, he's taken inside Gundicha. But if he reaches after sunset, he's kept there on the cart only throughout the night. And next day morning is when they will take him in. So that year, Jagannath had reached late. So he was outside in the Ratha and Maharaj was sleeping inside. And in the middle of the night at around 3 a.m., the head panda comes, he wakes Maharaj up, he puts his hand in Maharaj's hands in typical panda fashion, very personal they are, right? So uh, Panda takes Maharaj and he comes, Maharaj, Maharaj, Swami, please come. He takes him. Radhanath Maharaj is like, where? What are you doing? It's middle of the night. Where are you taking me? And he takes Radhanath Maharaj and he takes him to the Ratha of Jagannath. He gives a fresh garland and he says to Maharaj, you offer this garland to Jagannath. And Maharaj is looking at Jagannath is so huge, and he's telling, but how can I offer this? I won't reach. And the Panda says the only way you can offer garlands to Jagannath is by embracing him. You cannot offer the garland to the Lord without embracing. So you go up, you offer this garland, and you embrace the Lord as much as you want. Raghunath Maharaj went, he embraced the Lord tightly with tears in his eyes. He offered the garland. And then the Panda says that now you sit here, just you and your Lord, and you offer whatever prayers you want. So Maharaj does that. Maharaj sits there, chants the mantras, and he's reflecting on all the weight that all the struggles that he had to undergo until now to have darshan. And he's reflecting on all of that. And then Maharaj goes to Maharaj comes down and he thanks the Panda. Thank you so much. The Panda says, "What? Thank you. Where are you going? We are not leaving you. Come here." Then he takes to Baladev's chariot. He same thing. He embraces Baladev, sits in front of Baladev, chants to his heart's content. Then he goes to Subhadra's chariot. He embraces Mother Subhadra. He sits in front of her, chants. He gets so much mercy. And at the end of it, Maharaj shares the realization that the reason I got this mercy, such special mercy of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadramaya, Sudarshan is that I had darshan of Jagannath on Jagannath's terms, not on my terms. Right? If Maharaj had gone against all authorities, no, what service I do, nothing service. I am giving so my life to ISKCON. Can't you give me one ticket? Maharaj had revolted like that, given up his service, and come to Rath Yatra. He might have externally seen Rath Yatra, but he wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't have got this wonderful mercy, wonderful opportunity. Right? That's Maharaj's humility, by the way. But he was sharing that I got this mercy because I came on Jagannath's terms. So this is the qualification to have darshan of the Lord, right? Three qualifications we discussed. First is to have clarity on who's the seer and who's the seen. Second is to get spiritual knowledge, but not in the mood of accumulating knowledge, but to develop love. And the third is to render devotional service to Guru, Krishna, and Vaishnavas. And in the next 5 minutes, we'll cover the remaining section of this chapter. From 13th to 18th shloka, Kapiladev, he talks about Lord's form for dharana stage, overall meditation on the form. So he tells how Lord has a very pleasant face. He has reddish eyes shaped like a lotus petal. He has bluish complexion. He's in the Chaturbhuja form, holding Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. He's wearing yellow garments. He's having Srivatsa mark on his chest, Kaustubha Mani hanging from his neck, and he has beautiful garlands with made of flowers that never perish, that never fade. He has wonderful mukut. He has beautiful anklets. So all of these form of the Lord, the paraphernalia of the Lord, all of that is very nicely explained by Kapila in these five shlokas. And he says that again, he emphasizes this point that the best thing that our vision can see, that we can see with our vision, is this form of the Lord. And that is why yogis meditate on this form of the Lord within their hearts all the time, right? Premanjana Bhakti, Premanjana uh, Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilaukayanti. The yogis, they always relish this beautiful form of the Lord in their hearts. So this is the Dharana section. And next is the Dhyana section. 19th shloka to the 33rd shloka, where now we are going to, through Kapila Dev's vision and his explanation, we are going to go into every limb of the Lord. And when you hear this section, or when any of us hear this section, let's hear this from the mood that next time I go in front of the deities, next time I go in front of Gandharvika Giridhari, Shriman Mahaprabhu, or next time I go in front of Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, or any deities for that matter, I will take learnings from from this section of Bhagavatam, and I will implement these learnings while having darshan of the Lord. Right? How to have darshan, in what order, in what mood, all of that we will hear right now. In the 19th to 22nd shloka, Kapilidev starts with the Lord's lotus feet. He explains how the Lord's lotus feet has auspicious signs like thunderbolt, flag, lotus, and so many other auspicious signs. And Kapila says that the effulgence that emanates from the white toenails of the Lord, that white effulgence destroys the ignorance in our heart. All the anarthas and ignorance that we have gets destroyed when we have darshan of the white toenails in the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? And that is why we should meditate on that lotus feet of the Lord, from which the best of the best rivers, which is Mother Ganga, the most purest river, she descends into this world through the purity of the Lord's lotus feet. Where does Ganga Mata derive her purity from? It is from these lotus feet of the Lord, right? When we are meditating on the lotus feet, we should also meditate on the purity of the Lord's lotus feet, right? And the auspiciousness of the Lord's lotus feet as well, right? Because that Ganga Mata, that pure Ganga Mata, where does she come when she descends into this material world? She goes into the head. She's controlled by the Jata of Lord Shiva. Now, Shiva is already auspicious. The name Shiva means auspicious, but that auspicious Lord becomes even more auspicious when this river, this water that has touched the lotus feet of the Lord, touches his body, right? So the lotus feet of the Lord is the first thing that we should observe when we have darshan of the Lord. And when having darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord, we should meditate on the purity of the. Firstly, we should look at the white toenails of the Lord and have this realization that the effulgence from this white toenail is removing the darkness of my ignorance. And secondly, meditate on the purity of the Lord's lotus feet, which gives purification even to Mother Ganga, and it gives auspiciousness to auspicious personality like Lord Shiva. This is the meditation we should have on the Lord's lotus feet. Then in the 23rd shloka, Kapiladev talks about the calves of the Lord. Calves is basically that portion of the Lord's leg below his knee and above his feet. Right. So now we are slowly starting to move forward. In the calves section, very interestingly, Kapila Dev, he doesn't talk about the beauty of the Lord's calves as such, but he says, Jalaja Lochana Jananya. Jalaja means born from water. It is referring to lotus, but it is also referring to Lakshmi Devi, who appeared from the Samudra Manthan, from the ocean. So Jalaja Lochanya Janani, that lotus-eyed mother, Lakshmi Devi, she is constantly massaging the feet, the calves of the Lord between the feet and the thigh. She's constantly massaging that. And Kapiladev says, although this Lakshmi Devi has so many followers in this material world and so many Devi Devatas are worshipping and praying and doing austerities to get her favor, but still she is leaving all of that, being completely absorbed and attracted in her service of massaging the Lord's calves. And one very important point that Prabhupada makes in the purport of this section as well is that whenever we meditate on the Lord's feet, especially Lord's calves, we should, that meditation on the Lord's feet is incomplete without meditating on the wonderful qualities of Vaishnavas like Mother Lakshmi, right? We can think about Mother Lakshmi, but we should also think about those Vaishnavas who are responsible for us to have this opportunity of having darshan of Lord's feet. Right? It could be Srila Prabhupada, it could be our Guru Maharaj, it could be our Shiksha Gurus, Patpradarshak Gurus, it could be the Pujari who's decorating the deities so nicely that we are feeling attracted. It could be the devotees, the temple management, anybody. But when we see the lotus feet of the Lord, that meditation or that darshan is incomplete when we don't express our gratitude and glorify the wonderful qualities of Vaishnavas, right? Uh, Very interestingly, when Purandara Das, a very great devotee in our sampradaya itself, he's actually Navakoti Narayana. In the interest of time, I'm not going into the past time, but he gets transformed and he takes initiation from Vyasa Tirtha, who's a guru in our sampradaya. But in his travel, he comes to this place, Ramanagar, near Bidadi area. There's a Gopala Krishna temple. They say even today that temple is there. It's very famous. But he goes to that Gopala Krishna temple where the Lord is in a baby Laddu Gopal form, right? Bala Mukunda form. Purandar Das goes there, and Purandar Das, by the way, has written lakhs and lakhs of songs, 4,50,000 songs or something is composed spontaneously, which means he has written a song on everything, whether it is like technology or human emotions, Lord, trees, plants, animals, everything. He has written a song on everything. He never used to speak; he only used to sing poems. That is the greatness of Purandar Das. But when he had darshan of this Bala Mukunda in this temple in Ramanagar, he sat down there and he composed one of the most famous compositions in Carnatic music. Right? These prayers came out from his mouth, where he sang, Jagadodharana Adi Suvale Yashodha Jagadodharana. So in this is a beautiful song, but in this composition, he's saying, Jagadodharana, O Krishna, you are the uplifter. You do Uddhara. You are the uplifter of the entire material and spiritual universe. But all glories to that mother who is able to have loving relationship with you, who's your mother, Yashoda Maya, all glories to her. Right? He tells Krishna that as Suniti, Dhruva Maharaj's mother, she tells Krishna is somebody who has the heart of million mothers. But Purandara Das is saying, Krishna, you might have heart of million mothers, but Yashoda Maya is your mother. Then how much more glorious her heart is, right? And all glories to that Yashoda Maya who holds you with her hand, who chastises you, who scolds you, who runs behind you, who ties you to a wooden mortar. All glories to the devotion of Yashoda Maya, right? So when he saw the darshan of the Lord, he remembered Yashoda Maya and he sang this beautiful composition. So this ties back to our point that when we have darshan of the lotus feet of the Lord, we should always remember wonderful qualities of Vaishnavas and how by their mercy we are able to have darshan of the Lord. And then we come to the 24th shloka, where Kapiladev talks about the thighs of the Lord, above the knees, right? And thighs and the hips of the Lord. That is covered in the 24th verse. And Kapiladev says, when Vishnu, Mahavishnu, he sits on Garuda and he's flying, those thighs seems even more elaborate and even more strong and very, very prominent. And Kapila Dev says those thighs of the Lord, they are storehouses of energy. Right? Although in Krishna's form it might seem very, gentle and soft, but it's actually very, very powerful. Right? Those thighs are where Krishna's energies are. Majority of his energy are there. And then in the 25th verse, Kapilidev talks, says, we started with lotus feet, we moved to the calves, we moved to the thighs. Now in this shloka, Kapilidev is talking about the navel and the hips of the Lord. And he says, when we have darshan of the navel, we should realize how this Padmanabha, this Lord who has a lotus navel, and from whose navel the lotus manifests, on which Brahma, the secondary creator of this material universe, and the stems of that lotus is all the 14 planetary systems, right? So when we look at the navel of the Lord, we should realize how Krishna is the source of all material creation, right? Everything emanates from Krishna. So that is the realization we should have when we look at the navel of the Lord. And then 26th shloka, Kapil Dev talks about the chest and the neck. So after navel, we should move towards the Lord's chest and the Lord's neck. So the Lord's chest, which is called as Vakshasthala, is the residence place of Mahalakshmi. right? It has Srivatsa mark, and by meditating on that chest of the Lord, Kapila Dev says the devotees get great satisfaction of their mind and senses. By having darshan of the Lord's chest, our mind and senses, which are so difficult to control, it is said that calms down, and we start. It's like when we are very, very agitated, what do? We go into the arms of the people we love, whether it's our parents, our partner, whoever, and we seek shelter there. And when we are resting in their shoulder, in their chest, we feel protected, we feel calmed. Similarly, devotees of the Lord, when they go in front of the Lord and they see the Lord's vakshasthala, they feel a sense of calm and protection, and they feel that, oh, now their mind and senses are calming down, right? And then Kapila Dev in the 26th chapter, 26th shloka, he says how the Lord's neck is adorned with kaustubha mani, right? And those manis that the Lord wears, that kaustubha mani is actually said to be the pure devotees of the Lord. And Krishna holds his devotees very close to his heart, and he uses them, he shows them as priceless pearls that are enhancing the beauty of the Lord, right? In the 27th shloka, Kapil Dev talks about the Lord's arms. So after Lord's Vakshasthala, we should move towards having darshan of Lord's arms. And there Kapila Dev tells how Lord's arms is decorated with beautiful armlets, bracelets, and these strong arms is actually the source of strength for all the protectors in this material world and spiritual world as well. But protectors like Kshatriyas, who are righteous Kshatriyas who are protecting Dharma, and Devi Devatas, who are in charge of protecting this material world, all of these protectors in this material world, they derive strength from the Lord's arms, which is the source of strength for everybody. Right? And in those arms, he is holding the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. He's holding the Shankha and Padma to bless his devotees, and Gada and Chakra to kill the demons. Right? We'll talk about Kapila Dev talks about Gada separately. We'll come to there. But here it is mentioned when the Lord holds Shankha and Chakra in his lotus hands, the Shankha is very, very white. It's bright, effulgent white, right? So that white Shankha is looking like a swan, like a royal swan, and the Lord's hand is palm is reddish, like a lotus. So that Shankha in the Lord's hands, Kapil Dev says, is actually like a royal swan playing amidst, lotus stems. It's very gracefully gliding amidst lotus stems. That is how it looks like. And in the next shloka, 28th shloka, Kapil Dev separately talks about the fourth bhuja, fourth arm of the Lord, where he's holding Gada. This Gada is called Kaumodaki Gada. The name of this weapon is Kaumodaki. And this Gada, Kapil Dev says, it's anointed with the blood of all the Rakshasas, because Mahavishnu uses this Gada to punish the demons. And when we have darshan of the Lord's Gada, we should realize that, do I want to be a demon punished by the Gada of the Lord, or do I want to be a devotee will be blessed by the Shankha and the Padma of the Lord? Right? We should meditate on that fact that we should not lead a sinful life. Right? When we look at the Kaumodaki Gada of the Lord, then 29th verse comes the lotus face of the Lord. Right? After all of this, then we should come to the face of the Lord, where and Kapiladev says, when we have the beautiful darshan of the Lord's lotus face, we should remember the compassionate nature of the Lord, who takes so many unlimited forms just to attract our hearts and just to please us. So when we have darshan of the Lord's face, we should remember Lord's compassion. And in his face, then there is description of how he has earrings, makara kundala, alligator or crocodile shaped earrings. Whenever the Lord moves, walks, or runs in Vrindavan, those earrings keep kissing his cheeks, his gentle cheeks. And the Lord is said to have broad forehead, very beautiful pointed nose, and his face is decorated on all sides with locks of beautiful, dazzling black curly hair. Right. So all of these beauty is described, and then Kapila Dev says we generally compare the Lord's beautiful face with the lotus, but even the lotus in a fresh water body is put to shame in front of the beauty of the Lord's beautiful face. Because we don't have anything better to compare, we compare the Lord's face with lotus, but actually it is million times more beautiful. And then after having darshan of the Lord's lotus face, then in the 31st shloka, it talks about how we should move towards the Lord's eyes and his glance, right? So his glance completely destroys all the material anarthas in our heart, right? So we should express ourselves to the Lord's glance. And how does Lord bestow his mercy upon us? He look through his glance, through his eyes, he removes anarthas in our heart. But how does he bestow his mercy upon us? That is through his beautiful smile, through his pleasant, beautiful, wonderful smile. And seeing that smile of the Lord should remove all the miseries in this material world that we might be going through. All the sufferings that we are going through will get vanquished when we have darshan of that beautiful smile of the Lord. And then his eyebrows in the face. It is mentioned his eyebrows are shaped like a bow, right? But this is not a regular bow. This is a very, very special bow, because when we have darshan of the Lord's eyebrow, it is mentioned that this darshan of Lord's eyebrow protects us from the arrows that are coming from the bow of Cupid, Madana, right? Now, these arrows of lust coming from Madana are a very, very dangerous obstacles in the path of a sadhaka, in the path of our spiritual practice. Right? Krishna tells in the third canto of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, we know something is wrong, but still we are compelled by a force to do the wrong thing. What is this force? And Krishna says that is lust. And it has mentioned anybody who has darshan of the beautiful eyebrows of the Lord, they will be protected from the arrows that are coming from the bow of Madana, Cupid, basically protected from lust. In this way, a yogi who meditates on the beautiful form of the Lord, he becomes completely free from the influence of Maya. All the anarthas are removed and they develop attachment towards the Lord, right? So we discussed dharana, overall vision of the Lord, and we discussed dhyana, limb by limb. We saw how we should, what is the order, what is the mood, what is the meditation we should have when we are having darshan of the Lord, right? Now, the last section of this chapter is yogis who have dharana and dhyana on the personal form of the Lord. There are two ways they can go from here. One way is that they can become devotees, right? Where they stop at dhyana and they keep meditating on this beautiful form of the Lord. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he was asked by his mother to go to the forest and meditate exactly on the same aspect of the Lord that Kapila Deva was describing here. Then, under the influence of Narada Muni, for 6 months, Dhruva Maharaj performs intense tapasya and intense austerities. And when he has closed his eyes, he sees the same vision of the Lord that we discussed in his heart. And then Dhruva Maharaj opens his eyes, and the same Lord is standing in front of him, right? And then Dhruva Maharaj, we know how the Lord puts his conch shell in Dhruva's head, and Dhruva does all of this with a material desire to get a kingdom greater than his grandfather. But actually, he gets Krishna Bhakti, Krishna Prema, right? And he tells, I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but I got a valuable diamond, right? So we see this theme throughout Bhagavatam, not just with Dhruva Maharaj, even his guru Narada Muni, right? He goes to the forest, he sits under a tree after losing his mother, after losing everything. He goes, sits under a tree, he meditates, and he sees the same form of the Lord in his heart. He opens his eyes, the Lord comes out and manifests in front of him for a very short period. And the Lord says, after this life, when you give up this body, you will enter into an eternal body where you will constantly, have my devotion and my association. And that is how, in the next life, he becomes Narada Muni, right? So the yogis, Ashtanga yogis or Bhakti Mishra Ashtanga yogis, after dhyana stage, they can either become a devotee, bhakta, or they can take the other unfortunate option of trying to go into samadhi, where they withdraw their mind, withdraw their senses into, and they mostly in the stage of samadhi, they go into trance and they try to merge into the Lord. The problem with samadhi is that they are getting cut off from this beautiful form of the Lord. That vision is broken, that vision is lost. That is why although for Ashtanga yogis, samadhi is the perfection, but for devotees, it's an unfortunate thing that stay in the dhyana stage and actually meditate on the beautiful form of the Lord, right? And finally, I know I'm out of time. I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes to just summarize the key takeaway from this chapter of Bhagavatam, third canto, 28th chapter. That coming back to the point that what are we supposed to do by hearing all of these descriptions, by having darshan of the Lord, by serving Vaishnavas? What is it that we actually need to do, right? And the point is that we should develop love for Krishna. His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj, initiating Guru in ISKCON and a very senior sannyas disciple of Maharaj, Prabhupada as well. He recently passed away about a year ago. But when he was in Vrindavan, Kadamba Swami Maharaj was the temple president of Vrindavan. And Kadamba Maharaj did not have good relationships with certain mafia groups within Vrindavan. Even in Vrindavan, you have these rowdies, gundas, hooligans. Certain ways in which Maharaj ran the ISKCON temple did not go well with these gundas. And Maharaj did not compromise. He was very uncompromising in his vision. So what they did when Maharaj was taking shower in his room in Vrindavan, from the hole in the window, they put a gun inside and they shot Maharaj from behind. And Maharaj got bullet wounds behind. It was there till the end. Maharaj was shot while taking a shower and he fell down unconscious. Lot of streams of blood was going there. It was all losing out. And Maharaj was thinking, if I don't open the door and call somebody for help, I will leave my body in this bathroom only. Right? So he tried his best to somehow open the door. He called out for help. And before he became unconscious, devotees came, they rushed him to the hospital, and somehow he was protected, he was saved. But after that, Maharaj was not able to come back to Vrindavan. He was not allowed to come to Vrindavan because of these dangers of these mafia groups. They never allowed the Maharaj to come. And many, many, many years later, when Maharaj finally was able to come back, he saw that all his books were gone. His room was gone. His seva of being a temple president was gone. His residence in Vrajabhumi was gone. All the books and all his paraphernalia, everything he had collected of the Lord, everything was gone. And his notes that he had written from many, many, many years hearing about the Lord, all of that was gone, right? And at that moment, Maharaj says, the realization he got is that at some point in all our lives, we will get to a stage where uh, we will not have anything else left except the love that we have developed for Krishna in our heart, right? We cannot take the bookshelves or the books that we have with us after this life. At the end of this life, we'll not be able to take the books with us, but we can take the realizations from those books in our heart when we leave this body. We cannot take the beads with us, but we can take the taste that we have developed towards the holy name. We cannot take the attendance report of every class we have attended, but we can take the experience that we had of hearing Harikatha, right? We cannot take every position, every designation that we rendered services in, right? Circle servant, sector servant, Bhakti Riksha leader, whatever. We'll not be able to take these positions with us when we go to the spiritual world, but we can take the service attitude, the seva bhav that we developed in these positions. So eventually, it is not about anything external, but only and only about how much love we have developed in our heart for Krishna, right? And that is why Krishna consciousness as a philosophy, as a process, always works. It works for sure. And I have so many examples in my mind, which I'm not quoting in the interest of time, but it works for sure. And the important point is we we don't have to be a sannyasi for Krishna conscious to work. We don't have to be rich. We don't have to have millions of followers. We don't have to have influence. We don't need to have power. Right? We don't need to have erudite scholarly knowledge of Shastras. We don't need any of these things. All we need is a pure heart which is filled with love for the Lord. That is why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Prema Vina Daridra Jivan. Without love for Krishna, that person is the poorest who doesn't have any love for Krishna, right? But by the mercy of the Lord, we have this opportunity in the form of human form of life to develop that love. And more than human form of life, we have the association of Vaishnavas. We discussed about Dhruva Maharaj getting the mercy of the Lord, getting darshan of the Lord by dhyana process. But after getting the mercy of the Lord, Krishna asks him, what do you want? And Dhruva Maharaj asks for something that all of us already have. Dhruva Maharaj asks for the association of devotees. He asks for protection in the association of devotees, right? And we already have that. Parikshit Maharaj, he saw Krishna in the womb of his mother, in the womb of Uttara, when he was very small. And there only he had the darshan of the Lord who had come as the size of a thumb to protect Parikshit from the Brahmastra. And ever since Parikshit came out his mother womb, even when he was crawling, he was holding others' dhotis and saris and checking, is this the person I saw? Is this the person I saw? Constantly throughout his life, he meditated on the form of the Lord that he saw in his mother's womb. But towards the end of his life, again, he offered a prayer to the Lord where he requested for three benedictions, three boons. First thing he said is, if I have to take another form, another body in this material world, please give me these three benedictions. First thing is, please allow me to have attraction for you. Right? Please don't take away my attraction for you. Second thing is, please give me shelter of devotees, right? Which we all already have. And third is, please give me compassion towards all the living entities. So this association, this Sangha of Vaishnavas, this opportunity to come together and hear about Krishna and serve about Krishna, we take it very granted, right? We think we are tolerating other Vaishnavas to get Krishna. But those Mahajanas who have got Krishna are asking for the same thing that we are running away from, right? So this is the greatest opulence that we can have in our life, that we all have as a gift right now. And it's just about utilizing this opportunity and developing love for the Lord. I think I'm at least 15 minutes over time, so I'll stop here. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity, and please forgive me for all the offenses and mistakes committed. I don't know if we have time for any questions as such, but we'll wrap up here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.